managing director of Paragon Trust Company and tax and private client practitioner, joins us to bring a common sense approach to money in a world of total insanity. Let's welcome Tony D'Angelo.
All right, Tony is joining us. He does every Tuesday bright and early, and I actually am looking forward to this conversation because Tony's going to dissect one thing in particular before he jumps to a couple others, which is, first of all, good morning, Tony. How are you?
Good morning, and good morning to everyone.
I've been saying this since they talked about tolls, and that is not only are you going to spend more money, it's going to cost you more money, maybe your driving habits will change, but they're going to have personal information on you, aren't they?
Well, yeah, and this is, Gideon Tucker, who was a judge in New York years ago, said no man is safe when the legislature's in session. Boy, was that guy prescient. But as far as tolls are concerned, we do not know yet that draft bill, which is supposed to be revealed today with respect to the truck-only tolling, which is, it's okay, it's not going to affect you, no big thing. What are you getting upset about? Highways need to be fixed. The provision that they have alluded to, which I believe, actually I have no reason to doubt, is the provision that they had a year ago, is with respect to how this toll information is going to be shared. Congressman Simmons had a very good point, when he was on with you about 10 days ago talking about this. And I said, let me take a look at that. And right within this bill is a provision, we won't share this information unless. And then the other unless is to comply with federal or state laws or regulations. Well, wow, what does that mean? Now, I, as a practitioner, have been involved in some incredible residency audits. These are people who legitimately want to do 6 months here and 6 months in Florida, or maybe 6 months in a week, and they've moved to Florida and they've changed the residency, and our taxing authority wants to come back and say they're in Connecticut. Now, the guy I had this summer, his son was driving around on our highways, with his 85 Volvo. Do I want an auditor to come at me and say, well, look, this guy here was a resident because we have his car on the freeway? I mean, it's this whole violation of due process, which is, it even goes beyond that. How will this information be shared, in this type of a command economy? Does it go to insurance companies? Well, we kind of think you're driving a little bit quickly and, you're not complying with speeding laws. It gets to be so elastic. The most bugging thing for me is no one is saying anything about this. You can't find media on it. Supposedly our better angels in the legislature don't say a word. Nobody, it's tolls are bad. Yeah, we know that, but how will this information be used? That's just number one, Lee, and there's a couple of other things. And it's this whole thing of, and I'll just say this, and I know you've got a ton of comments to make, but our state has had incredible issues over the years with data security, things getting to where they shouldn't be, laptops being left. If federal government's been on them, nothing ever gets done. Question is, where does all this stuff go?
Yeah.
And, it's where is my protection as a citizen? Yes, if somebody's doing something legitimately wrong, okay, fine. But it's just that, we've now got to be under the KGB. And again,
right.
No one is talking about this.
Well, it's a great point, and I'm going to actually have a senator coming up at the top of the hour. Senator Tony Wong is going to join me. And I'm going to ask him this question first. If in fact tolls were put up tomorrow, and then I'm driving down 95, and I hit the East Lyme toll, and then I hit the toll in Old Lyme, or wherever the next one is, and I do so in a mathematical amount of time that makes it say that I'm going 79 miles an hour. Am I going to get a ticket in the mail?
Well,
right?
You see, this is the other thing, and there's nothing saying that you won't, because that provision, to comply with federal and state laws or regulations, they'd certainly be, quote unquote, within the law they've created to give you a ticket.
Interesting. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. And again, God bless the anti-toll people who are out there, saying this is monetary. It's more than monetary. It's, the thing of getting to where, what one's personal business would be, and making, the potential of making accusations because of that.
All right, I'm concerned. There's, and that's just the beginning too. I mean, because then they're gonna, then they're gonna be in, like you said, all this different information. And as you had just mentioned too, they're not very good with securing it. So, which means that all of my personal information will be floating around out there on cyberspace as well. So, all right, talk to me about state-sponsored healthcare. What do we got?
Well, okay, you want to talk about healthcare? There is something being knocked around now as the Connecticut option, which is Connecticut is going to save the world when it comes to the health insurance crisis and make everything wonderful. Now, there is a federal provision of law called HIPAA. Most people were familiar with it, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. In other words, your doctor can't go blabbing on the street about, your lumbago or your prostate. I'm very happy that's there. Now, what is to stop Connecticut from, in effect, saying, well, we're going to do this thing for the benefit of our people and have an information policy, which is really, it's not all that imaginative. They're probably going to lift the one from Husky. Go on the website and read the privacy policy for Husky. We're not going to do this unless there's a reason for us to do it. And it's that language that makes me very, very nervous. The other thing is that if you have absolutely nothing to do, and I'm talking absolutely nothing to do, go on the state website and start reading down the names of state employees. And it's just like any other large organization. There's incredible amounts of related parties. Somebody gets a job, their brother, their sister-in-law, kind of plays through the fabric. It's kind of how the factories work at Stanford. All the Polish did assembly, all the Italians did it's just the way it is. Now, going back to my residency audit, what if I have health insurance with the state and the auditor who's really hacked off at me, his wife is sitting making the decision for health insurance, like, well, we're not going to give Angelo the treatment he needs. And everybody's like, oh, this is absolutely incredible. It's like, hey, folks, marvel not, because, this is particularly why this stuff was supposed to be kept out of the states, because you don't get into these games if it becomes anonymous. It's supposed to be objective. And even then, it's not perfect, as we know.
Incredible. Tony D'Angelo is joining us, as he does each and every Tuesday, talking about a number of different issues. I'm looking at the time, Tony, so let's quickly go to the state retirement plan. I know you wanted to mention that.
When they wrote this thing, and believe me, I went back to this, and it was, have the board just make up its policy as it goes along. Well, that's great. I mean, am I going to start getting robocalls from an insurer? And not only that, but this whole thing about retirement plans with a state, if I'm in a state tax audit and I've got an auditor I can't deal with and I've done everything right, and he's like, well, I still don't see it, and I'm going to pull money from this retirement plan, it's right under his thumb. This whole thing, again, is uncharted territory. So people, be very careful about what's going on out there and start to pay attention, because it's not good.
All right, Tony. Listen, we got to run. We're out of time. Your buddy comes up next, but I will talk to you next week, sir.
Yes, sir. Take care.
All right, pal. You got it. The great Tony Tony D'Angelo. All kinds of different topics touching upon that today. I just go back to the original conversation with tolls and collections and spying on you. It's impossible. They'll have the information. That's just the way it's going to be. All right, we'll be back. Bob Lazari next.